There are many ways we can accept guidance from the divine. On today's Wednesdays with Willa podcast, my guest and I will be discussing a very important topic, using your higher guidance, guardian angels, spirit guides, and master teachers. And I have with me today Patricia Price. Hi, Patricia.
Hi, Willa. Hi, audience.
It's great to have you with me again on the show. You've been such a wonderful mentor to me through the years. I first started out in mediumship development circles with Patricia and a few other teachers that really helped me in my mediumship development. And Patricia Price is one of those very special people here in Lilydale. She has been a registered medium for many, many years and a spiritual teacher to many, and really a light to so many people who are looking for that higher guidance. Patricia Price has had a lot of involvement with the Church of the Living Spirit, and in the last few years with the City of Light Spiritualist Church. You founded that church as well, and that's been going strong, and it meets every last Sunday of the month. And it's a really glorious service that even some of my family members are very involved in too. And it really opens and welcomes people. So I encourage people to take a look at the City of Light Spiritualist Church and also Patricia Price's website, patriciaprice.com. And for those of you who are tuning into Wednesdays with Willa for the first time, my name is Willa and I am a spiritual medium. And this is a podcast that I've been doing for almost 4 years now. And it also is part of the Lilydale Radio family. So it goes out on blogtalkradio.com/Lilydale Radio. But to see and hear us, you need to tune in on my Facebook page, which is Willa White Medium. So you can like and share and follow, and you can look back at the archive videos of the show. Patricia Price has been a guest on my show before. We've talked about many beautiful topics. My show is for spiritual discussion and really an exploration of the soul. We usually focus on a topic that's either relating to spiritualism, mediumship, healing, faith, family, or more. And as I said, today's topic is using your higher guidance, guardian angels, spirit guides, and master teachers. So let's have a great discussion, Patricia.
Yes, let's do that.
Let's talk about using that higher guidance. It's so important that we are able to connect with the divine, with our soul, and also to know that we can reach that higher point of guidance. Let's break that down for people in terms of guardian angels, the spirit guides, and master teachers.
Yes, absolutely. And we can say that it's very important in these times where we are challenged. We think so greatly. As we look at history, I think, and even our own histories, but humankind's history, you see that we have always needed this higher guidance in our lives. Many times we find that the information we have in books and the media, even our friends and family, isn't all about the truth. And, but we always can go within. We always can count on the truth in a place that can never be denied to us. And that's our inner faith, our ability to go within, to meditate, to be in nature in silence, to go into prayer, all the beautiful ways that we can touch in with our highest and higher guidance. And many people call it different things. I have Christian students who call it Jesus. I have Buddhists that say, I find my refuge in Buddha. I have, just all kinds of faiths and people who are even not of a faith, spiritualists and people of not a faith that would call it something different. Spiritualism, we call it maybe infinite intelligence, or I often call it all-loving heart. Whatever the name of the God of your own understanding is, the God, Goddess, all it is something that's accessible to us all at any time. And we forget about that, or maybe we don't even know about that. I know as a child, I don't think I was ever taught to go in, but I knew myself, and many children know this, that you can go out in nature, be in silence, and receive the highest guidance in your own way. And when I talk to children, they often will tell me what they do. When I was a kid, I used to have a rock by a little stream. And whenever I was troubled, I would go and sit on this huge rock, and the answers would always come to me. And I never talked to anybody about that um, until I got older and realized that that was my way of spiritually tuning in. And no one had to tell me, to do that. Of course, I went to a church that taught me prayer. And I didn't learn meditation until I was probably in my 30s or maybe late 20s. But certainly, so many ways to touch into that higher guidance and to name that higher guidance if we need a name for it. But I know it has really answered many of my questions, and many of the dilemmas in my life, guided me through them. And I really like to share that with others because, of course, Willa and I consult many people as mediums. And sometimes that higher guidance is even spirit loved ones, our ancestors who were so wise. And I know my mother was very well versed in she would say, keep your resistance up. And so we would find our breakfast on the table with a little vitamin pill and a ration of orange juice. And then her words to us always was, we must keep our resistance up. And then my father was very good at his higher guidance to us. And he was raised, my grandmother, who I never met in person, but I've met in spirit. My grandmother was a Christian Science woman. And so she did not believe in saying even a word. Her word was her wand. She knew that, and she was taught that. And so they never talked of sickness. And so one time, and we didn't know anything about that. And one time we were children, we were playing on the porch one summer day, and we were playing doctor. And so one of us was the sick person, and a couple of us were the doctors or nurses or whatever. And my dad came home from work and greeted us, and he said, "What are you playing?" And we told him, and he said, "No, no, no, never, never, never play that you're sick. Never, never, never say a word. You are healthy children." And and he raised his voice, which my dad never did. And I always wondered what that was all about. And then when I got older and realized that my grandmother was Christian Science, and he had loved his mother, and so he taught us in a way. His higher guidance to us was that our word was our wand, and that what we did counted in our lives. And so, and again, so many wonderful things, higher guidance from my parents about telling the truth and being honorable, and the example of having a spiritual life was not dictated to us, but truly seeing that it was an important part of our lives. Thank goodness it wasn't dictated, because I found my own way very beautifully as a child and up into my teens, in exploring different faiths and finding higher guidance in different. And I want to say one of the ways to explore higher guidance is to read inspirational material. And even as a teenager, I explored things like the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedas of Buddhism. Of course, I had a lot of Bible study as a child, and then found a product of the 60s and 70s, so many of the inspirational books that came out in that time and are still coming up. It's just, have guided me. And I continue to find those inspirational books, some of them ancient writings, and some of them written just, months before. Even instantaneous. I have websites I look at and magazines I look at of people that have written inspirational higher guidance. But most of all, going into the silence, one great example is that just within, let's see, it was about 3 years ago, I started to get in my meditations a still small voice that said, "Get out of California." And at that time, I had spent 17 years driving out to California every winter and enjoying the warmth and the sunshine, and of course the creativity of the Californians. And many of my friends were Californians, but I kept getting this higher guidance that said, "Get out of California." So knowing that that was valid in my life, I started to pack up. I started to let go of many things in California. And 3 years later, I had completely moved out of California. And that's when a lot of the chaos started where I lived in California, in the southern part of California. So I am very grateful to my higher guidance. And I'll just call it my higher guidance, my still small voice that said, get out of California. And I haven't really, regretted it at all. And I continue to listen every day to my higher guidance. And I encourage those who I talk to in their traumas of life and their hardships to go within, to pray, to meditate, to read inspiration. Um, and another thing I would always go back to is journaling and inspirational writing. And sometimes that turns into automatic writing, actually channeling from the master teachers, the ascended masters, from the spirit doctors have often come in on that vibration, and the master healers who have come in again on that vibration. And the wise, as I said, the wise ancestors and master teachers that have come to me. And it's interesting how that can come in health. Um, my my grandmother, who I never met, my father's mother, was quite the woman who used home remedies and herbs. So often I'll get something in that line for myself, and it's very good. And so anyway, spirit guides, I mean, you just can't, we as spiritualists and mediums can't get beyond the beautiful assistance we get from our spirit guides. And I now have a collection of spirit guides I know by name, which isn't important. It's not important what their names are. What's important is that we're listening, we're being guided.
So, Patricia, perhaps it would be a good time to explain to them the difference between a guardian angel and a spirit guide
Oh, yes.
and a master teacher. Like, how would they discern the differences between those?
That's a great question, Willa, because, when I first started in spiritualism, the idea of angels was sort of a broad term that meant our deceased loved ones and the spiritual dimension of the angelic. So it kind of got mixed up because we even had songs that were about, our deceased loved ones that meant, and they called it angels, our angels.
Right, right.
And even today, sometimes we call each other angels because we've been good to each other. And sometimes we call, it's very rare now though, that we call our deceased loved ones angels, but that does happen. And so that distinction is very important, that there is a dimension in the universe that is angelic, that are angels, and they are beings of light. And at 10 years old, I experienced personally an angel, very different than a spirit loved one, very different than a spirit guide, but an actual angel. And it's written about over and over and over again, even in ancient texts, angels. Okay, so that out of the way, then we have the guardian angel as, different than the angels of guidance that come to us.
Yes.
And my belief and my guidance has taught me that we all have a guardian angel. And we may pick up that guardian angel from birth or even before birth. And that guardian angel is with us always, never leaves us, is always there for us. And that can be our higher guidance if we allow it through our free will. Unless we have told our guardian angel to interfere in something during our life, there is no interference, there's only guidance.
That's right. They can't infringe upon free will.
That's right. So our guardian angel is always there. And even after the change called death, can still be with us if we choose, but definitely all through our life. And there are more stories than I can tell about the beautiful guidance, the higher guidance of our guardian angel. And as I say, each person has a guardian angel from birth and maybe even before birth with instructions for the life. So I have had some interference by my guardian angel about my career one time that was very blatant. and and I said, well, this is against my free will. And my guardian angel said, no, it's not. At birth, you told me that if you ever went off the path on your career, to definitely tell you that you were off path, that you that I would not support you in going into another career. I would show you the way back. And
Mm.
it wasn't harsh or terrible. It was just very loving guidance that brought me back to my path in this life. So guardian angels, yes, very different than the angelic band that you might have. And again, my terminology is a spirit band that's with me that's called angels that are guiding me and helping me. But the guardian angel is right up there, always there, where the band of angels may change through my life.
Yeah.
And again, the miscalling of angels on this, as human beings called angels that are either here or deceased, is another one that might get in the way of people's understanding of.
Now, some
Our-
people do perceive that guardian angel to be a very big pillar of light.
Yeah,
Very sometimes they'll describe them as very tall, 9 or 10 feet tall, or it just depends, and that they're very much a protective influence in a person's life. I personally felt guardian angel energy as well, and it's beautiful. It's really helped me through some very important parts of my life as well. So what you're explaining is so perfectly stated, Patricia.
well, the guardian angel is very important, and I don't think that we utilize our guardian angel as much as the guardian angel would even want to be utilized in life. That's their job, and it's like, okay, please, call on me. I will
Yes.
help you. It's they're there for us so often. uh, I do remember to say, guardian angel, please, bring me through this, or help me to understand this, or be there when I need you, because I know in the next week I'll need you. So
Well,
yeah, important.
there are people who have those sweet little guardian angel pins, and they'll pin that on to their clothing so that they remember that their guardian angel is working with them. It's an understanding and remembrance.
Yes,
So
yes,
I think that's a very sweet thing.
it is. I collect a lot of antiques, and I was in the antique business for about 5 years. And one time I was in one of the old antique shops over in Stockton. Some of you remember the Stockton sales over there.
Yes.
And there was an old fashioned picture that many of you know, uh, where there's children and there's a guardian angel and holding the hand of a child who's going across a big log over a chasm. And the guardian angel is guiding this little child. And I had to have that picture because, again, a remembrance, like you say, a little pin or a picture or a statue of an angel, just reminding us that we have that access always, that we're born with it, that it never goes away. And some of us are during this time uh, that has been over a year now, um, of remembering that we're not alone. This is so important to many people to be reminded. You have your guardian angel, you have your deceased loved ones, you have, oh, and I wanted to mention too that the City of Light Spiritualist Church is not only about human beings, but about pets and wild animals. And we go so far as saying all creation, plants and so on. I'm just looking at my plant over here that I've had so many years and is a comfort to me. So all of creation, just remembering the higher guidance is to remember that we are all part of it. We're all part of the divine, and this is it's certainly um, our guidance. By the way, my guidance is telling me that when things get a little more settled in my life, I can really look forward to having a cat as a pet, a new cat, which I've been without for a while.
Yeah.
And of course, Boann is a lot of beautiful company and companionship and comfort. But my higher guidance has said, well, it's a matter of months now when you're ready. there will be a cat that I will bring you. So my higher guidance is saying yes. Okay. Wait, don't rush it. At divine right timing, we will bring you a little creature.
Yeah, I remember Victoria, the little.
Yes, Victoria would live for a long
Yeah,
time, and she was such an asset and a beautiful inspiration. Talk about higher guidance, a guidance to be. Cats are such a guidance to relax, to stretch, not to be bothered. They say dogs look at us like family, but cats look at us like staff. Like we're supposed to do this and that, and
yes.
but cats remind my Victoria and my Maggie and little Star Baby, all the cats, Bootsy. I've had so many cats. They all reminded me to kind of wait a minute, go take a nap, get out and play,
Get out and play.
with the little seed pods of the dandelion going by or the leaves rustling. But the cats are such they're a higher guidance for
Yeah, and it depends on the cat, but
sure.
yes.
Our
So,
dogs, you have a dog, and the inspiration of a beautiful
oh
companionship.
yes, absolutely. I love your explanation of guardian angels. Let's explain to them a little bit about the spirit guides next, in terms of how that is very different from a guardian angel.
Yes.
And there, we usually have more than one. We have all that
Yeah,
to explore for people
yeah,
too.
that is a wonderful asset again that so many people don't even know about. But those of us who are spiritualists, we talk about it often. And again, you don't have to know the names of your spirit guides. You just know that someone's there. I've always loved numbers, even as a little child. I remember getting dressed for church, and once we were dressed, we were supposed to sit on the couch and not get messed up. so, so I would sit on the couch, and we had a huge, big family Bible that was like this thick. And I used to get that up on the couch with me, and I would go through the numbers of the pages just to see how they progressed and look at the pattern. I was obsessed with numbers and mathematics for most of my life. Well, later in life, I realized because I became familiar with my guide, Omra, and he said, well, I came into your life early because I knew that you love numbers. Again, I'd known him in other lifetimes, but he said, I came into your life about when you were 3 and you were exploring numbers and stayed there because I knew that I could be of help to you in your pursuit of mathematics and science. So he was one of the ones who was very forefront with me early on, but even more forefront for me was my guide, Mary. And many children have these guides that they know when they're young, but then their parents will dismiss them and even tell them not to communicate, which my parents did. Mary was there, and I was talking with her often. And what convinces me that she was a spirit guide was that I remember I had an upstairs bedroom, and she would come in the upstairs window and I would talk with her. She would come in and comfort me in the night when I woke up. And also that we were driving in the car even before my brothers were born, and that she was sitting with me in the back seat of the car talking with me. And then she said, oh, I've got to go now. And she flew out the window of the car. So I'm like, at that time, it didn't seem odd at all. But when I grew up and remembered back, I was like, oh, that was my spirit guide, Mary. And Mary, she's so wonderful because she's always assisted me to work in my teaching with people of different age groups. So developmentally, she could help me work with the nursery school kids that I worked with and babysat for. And she could help me when I taught grade school, elementary school. She could help me tune it in on that level. And then the greatest one was junior high kids. A lot of teachers will not touch junior high kids. They do not like that age group. But I was guided by Mary to a wonderful student teaching experience with a man who loved junior high kids, for one. And for another, she taught me how to relate to them in the classroom. So, and then, of course, then I started teaching adults, and She started to help me teach the different, even socioeconomic groups. I taught in California and Florida and Canada and so on. So even teaching adults in different levels. And I know, Willa, you've taught in different levels too, and maybe had a similar guide, but that's her specialty is helping me to teach different age groups. And so she's been absolutely fantastic in that dimension. And Raja, of course, my guide Raja is very active in teaching mediumship and things like that. He was a king in ancient, well, yeah, I guess ancient India, northern India, and he he's just humorous and he's delightful with students. My students often know him as their spirit guide also, and he brings in his elephants. Even psychically, you can hear his elephants trumpet as he comes in. Um, he's very much for meditation and spiritual practice, guiding me to ancient texts, divine inspiration to read. So you find your spirit guides will come in when you need them. There's specialty guides that even go away when you're done with that phase in your life. Um, I had guides that worked with me in organic gardening, and I don't do that anymore. I mean, I do a little bit of it, but not to the extent I used to do it. And my guides would help me with that. Some things that I don't do anymore, some of those guides have gone elsewhere, and new guides have come in. So now that I'm older and wiser, I'm ready for some of the ascended masters have been my spirit guides lately in the last 20 years. And I never knew about ascended masters before that. So one of the master lady, Nada, she has been a spirit guide lately and such a wonderful guide in knowing so much about natural law and guiding me in the divine feminine. She's been fantastic with that. And of course, some of the ascended masters that I know Pythagoras has had many names in many incarnations, but he is one of the ascended masters and has helped me through mathematics and science to know natural law and to help people. So there's, these spirit guides that come and go in our lives. I know Edgar Casey's group, his console, has been there for me different times when I've been studying and helping people with their health more in a nutritional and lifestyle way. And again, we, as mediums, we have to be careful. But then again, there are mediums that aren't careful at all. So I look at that and I say, why am I being careful? There's the what is he called? The medical medium and Carolyn Mays and so many people are just public and do it just naturally and help so many people. One time I had a woman come in for a reading one summer, and near the end of the reading, I saw a brown spot on her chest. And I said, I'm seeing a brown spot. It's about as big as a dime on your chest. And I want to tell you that if I saw a black spot, I'd say, go to the doctor right away. There's something drastically wrong with you, and I can't hold it back. I'm getting this from my higher guidance. It's coming through. And it is from spirit. I have a doctor here in spirit who's giving me this dot on your chest. It isn't black, it's brown. And that means that you have time to take care of this. Otherwise, it's going to turn into something that is not good. And you came today, and my guidance is telling me you came today to hear me say this to you. She said, no problem. I'm a nurse. I'm going to work on Monday morning. I said, you must take care of this within 3 days. That's what my guidance was telling me. And she said, no problem. I'm going back to work on Monday morning. I'll have it x-rayed or whatever, So she called me a week later and she said, I went to my work. I had it x-rayed during my lunch hour. I had a doctor look at it. He said, that's really small. He said, we should just take it out. It's just I can just numb it and take it out and we'll have it biopsied. So she said they did that, and a day later it came back. It was one of the fastest growing cancers that human beings could have. And he said, how in the world did you ever know you had that? because it was nothing that you could feel. And she said, a psychic medium told me that. And he was like, oh, really? But it's true. And, again, as mediums in Willa, we're discouraged from doing that. But if we use our higher guidance and say, I'm using my higher guidance, my spirit doctor is here, or your guardian angel is here, or my my doctor from spirit is chiming in here. Certainly it is part of mediumship. And your own spirit guidance. I often will get in mediumship, a spirit guide will tell my client, you need to meditate on your lifestyle every day. First thing in the morning, take 3 minutes and meditate on how you're going to live your life today. Because otherwise, things are going to go awry. So your spirit guide is telling me to have you spend 3 minutes even before you get out of bed and meditate on really sticking by your conviction to have a lifestyle that works for you. So, so much can come through those spirit guides. And again, you're your own best medium. Whoever you are listening, remember, we are all mediums. Don't let somebody tell you you have to be born to it and know it when you're young and this. No, you are a medium. Medium just means the person, that which is in between your lower self, our real selves, our human self, and that which is the divine. And we are all mediums. We can bring that divine into our consciousness to help our everyday self. And so our spirit guides are part of that. And I haven't met a person yet that doesn't have a spirit guide. And of course, we have more than one. We have many. And again, you don't have to know the names. Just listen to that still small voice. Your beautiful spirit guides are there. And I guess at this point, I need to say, raise the vibration and ask for the highest and best.
Yeah.
Because that is always the guidance in us going into the other dimensions, even in this dimension. If you want a good life, if you don't want tricksters in your life from either dimension, this dimension or the higher dimensions, ask for only the highest and best in your life and keep that rule that I'm not letting anybody in this door that is cursing or on drugs or drunk, anyone who is inviting the Lord consciousness, unless I can help them and they're asking for help. And I'm not going to ask for anyone or allow anyone from spirit, from the other dimensions, to come into my life on that vibration either, because so many of them are tricksters. And, we're in charge. We're the captains of our ship. We're the masters of our destiny. We have free will. Boot them out.
We have to have healthy boundaries.
That's right.
Healthy energetic boundaries. And we are very much in charge of what energy we allow around us.
That's right. So,
and how we react to that energy.
Yeah. Absolutely. So the spirit guides that are going to guide you to your highest consciousness are the ones that you ask for. And every morning I ask in prayer. Every morning I light my white candle and say my affirmations and do my meditation to assure that the energy is high. Raise the vibration and ask for the highest and best. And that beautiful guidance brings us spirit guides and spirit teachers and doctors and even our deceased loved ones. I have brought many deceased, as you have too, Willa, all of us in mediumship have brought many spirit loved ones to those who come to us. Some of those in spirit are not nice. They weren't nice here and they haven't chosen to evolve. And so every time someone needs to come in on that level, angels surround them and bring them and say, here's a person who betrayed you in this life, who's still evolving, who still is maybe a little negative, but in their progression has asked to come to you to apologize or asked to come to tell you that they have made some progress. And, I wouldn't deny them, but they always come with angels around them So again, when we ask for only the highest and best, there is that around them. And I don't use the word protection. I think that just conjures thoughts of fear. So I just say we're asking only for the highest and best in our lives. And a lot of people don't even know that they can do that. They think they have to live with negativity or live, again, just on the practical, like you said, we're learning about healthy limits and boundaries, that we have to put up with people that are, again, in great negativity. And we don't have to put up with that. We can say, stop. I don't care to indulge in that. Could we either change the subject or meet at another time? Or if we're on the telephone or on Zoom, to say, I don't really care to engage in that. It's time for me to go. I mean, we can with kindness and still with love from a distance, address that. And even in spirit. I know that if my guard is down, if I am in kind of a slump, and I have those from spirit coming to me that aren't of the highest and best, I can wake up and say, oh, wait a minute, you're not welcome. I'm sorry, I'm not on this vibration anymore. Goodbye, and all the best to you. But I'm
Change
gone.
the radio. You changed the radio station.
Change the vibration, change the channel
Yes.
within us. And again, as above, so below.
Yes.
Whether we're dealing with those in spirit, without bodies, or those here on the airplane, those healthy limits and boundaries, we need to put them in place. We're in charge. We have free will. Now, children, that's a different story. If we're in charge of children or people who don't have the capacity to do it, then we need to guide them to a higher vibration.
True.
And to keep that in mind. But when they're old enough to take care of themselves, please teach them to do it for themselves and don't interfere. Because again, as mediums, we find so many people that want us to manipulate the people around them. Please, no, 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 I will not do that. That is bad karma.
Indeed.
So,
I think I really love your examples of the spirit guides that have come to you, and you showed so authentically and distinctly the ways in which those have been key players in your life and in your journey. I think that's such a beautiful explanation. Let's tell them more about master teachers now, and how that is its own separate category and distinction of connection and vibration.
yes, well, I would put Omara in that category as a master teacher. And maybe all, even Raja and Mary, but more distinctly the master teachers that are sometimes called deities, and they can come to us, and especially as I was pointing out, um, inspirational writing. Even sometimes when we're journaling, we dip into that. It changes over to someone of higher guidance coming in and writing there for us, or even going into automatic writing. It's their own handwriting that comes through. And as I was talking about the Ascended Masters, I have had the Ascended Master that was once called, I mean, he's had many names, but was once called Pythagoras, come through with writing for me about a natural law and how to use it better in my life and how to teach it. And the Ascended Master, Master Lady Nada, who has again often come through in writing, inspirational writing for me. So I have that as teachings of, again, universal natural law, the highest of guidance for all of us to remember our divinity. And there are others who would be in that category of master teachers. Jesus is still very active on the planet and comes through in so much higher guidance for so many, because we live where we live. There's many people who are still in touch with Jesus as a master teacher. And again, because we know people who are Buddhists, the Buddha still comes through the Gautama still comes through with higher guidance for us as a master teacher. And I know even I would associate a master teacher with so many. I know Gandhi has come through, and Mother Teresa from Calcutta. I have had her come through as a master teacher. The compassion that she showed for souls that had lost their way, who were dying and had no one. That everyone is important to the divine. Her teachings of compassion are just again master teachings. Even some who have lived in our day come through from spirit as master teachers and continue to come onto the planet to help us to understand. There are so many that are lost and suffering, that have forgotten that they have free will. They just, karmically, they just keep repeating things because they don't know. So the master teachers, that some of us that are teachers and light workers, healers, the master teachers will come to us and guide us where we're needed most on the planet, because there is so much need. I often get a master teacher saying to some of my students, some of the ministers that take my courses, and the mediums and the healers, that if you would work your entire life doing the service that you have passion for, if you would do it all your life, you would still not, there would still be a lot of need on the planet. So these master teachers are guiding us to the greatest needs if we are serving. And again, some of the best messages I've gotten from master teachers have been very practical, and to not only myself, but others who are doing this work, that we must take care of ourselves, and how much we just ignore that and burn out early in our lives, and then are not able to get up into our 90s and still be teaching. And I know teachers. I am so blessed that over my 73 years to know teachers that got up into their 80s and 90s and were still teaching and healing. And just what a blessing to the planet. And it's so much more efficient to live a long life than it is to, and I believe in reincarnation. I've had it proven to me, but everybody to their own teaching. But it's so much more efficient than to be reborn again and have to go through growing up and to do that over and over again. So much more efficient to just live and be healthy and vibrant and teaching and healing and doing our light work until we're until we're in our 90s. Now, I do know that the generation that's just coming up, we're going to be saying, until you live into your 120s, and that's going to be so much more possible because we're going to be so much more enlightened about keeping our health and our vibrance and vitality, and keeping our minds alert up into over 100 and into our 120s. So master teachers, don't ignore the masters. They want to teach. They want to be there. They want us to know the underlying laws of the universe so that we can have less suffering and more joy in this life. I do, again, through my higher guidance and the master teachers, know that the mother of Jesus, Mary, was an Essene, and her parents brought her up in the Essene tradition, and that Essene tradition was open to women. And that in her day, that part of the reason, of course, they were fleeing, but part of the reason that Joseph and Mary brought Jesus to Egypt was it so he could learn from the mystery schools in Egypt, and from that master teacher influence in those days, in those times. The master teachers were alive and well, teaching both from spirit and on the planet, in the mystery schools in not only Egypt, but in places like India and ancient Greece and Rome, and and Turkey and so on in the Middle East. So those master teachers have kept that knowledge, even though maybe we've forgotten it, and guided us not only to the original teachings of the ancients, but to put it in the words of today,
Mhm.
uh, so that we can teach it to each other, that it is valid today, that we're not left behind, that knowledge is still very pertinent to helping us to live and celebrate a joyful life, not to be born into suffering, not to find ourselves in war and drought and starving, and all the medical suffering that we're seeing can be alleviated through natural law. And for us to remember that, and that the master teachers from spirit are at our disposal anytime, as just as I said about the guardian angels, and they want to be used. They want us to get guidance from them to help each other. And not that any of us knows it all, but we could know more, again, to alleviate suffering on this planet, for ourselves and for those around us, and for anybody who will listen. Look at what a global community we have now. I
Yes.
mean, this Zoom that we're doing now, this blog talk radio, all of these things that are media can reach around the world now. I mean, we had speakers in our church uh, last Sunday that was from India. He was broadcasting from India, a monk. And then before that, we had a man who was teaching from Australia, and he was right there in Australia with people that he knew in the congregation. And what a blessing that is, that our message from our master teachers, our message from our guardian angels, our messages from our ancient ones can be broadcast globally, that we can all share with each other to live a better life, to have a better quality of life on the planet, and that the truth can come through. Because, and I just want to mention that we can go on the internet and we can go on, all kinds and read magazines. There's so much out there. And some of it is really the truth, and some of it is not. And it's all mixed together. And we're having arguments about it, but why would you argue about it? Why not just go within? Get the truth for yourself, live that truth. Don't argue. If something works for someone else and it's not harming anybody, just, okay. But for you to know the truth, it's always available. Go within. Trust your highest guidance. Trust the still small voice and go by that. Again, not harming others, um, doing the best that you can to be kind. Boy, what a watchword. Loving kindness, not hard. Does the truth here resonate with loving kindness? It's not hard. It's very simple. And if it does resonate with loving kindness, go for it. If it doesn't, then where is the truth? Ask, where is the truth? And not to argue with someone, not to be in debate, unless it's harming someone. Of course, I would stand up. But boy, it's very important to know that we have this higher guidance all around us, always available, and to spend a little bit of time every day. I mean,
So it really is as simple as letting yourself sit quietly in that light and love and accept that download of light and resonance from that higher guidance, either in the form of your guardian angel or a spirit guide or a master teacher, to set that intention and have the right practice as well.
yes, I love that you said it's like a download. And it's as simple as that. You just set it up and say, I'm here. I'm in the very highest vibration that I can accomplish. I'm asking only for the highest and best. Download.
That's right.
It's not hard. But it does take our time. And as little as 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day, but as much as setting aside some time. I know I set aside a 48 hours just recently for a meditation couple of days that I just had for the simplest of things, meditating, praying, going into the silence of nature, um, and just taking a couple of days to uh, go into the desert, so to speak, and just to download what I needed to continue my work and continue to take care of myself consistently. Uh, but yes, as little as 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day, as much as taking a few days of a retreat for yourself to download. I love that term.
Yes, yes. Oh, I get those downloads from spirit, from my guides and my soul. I get that. It happens. I can wake up in the middle of the night, or I'll have it in the daytime, and I'll just be like, "Hmm, okay, yes, I shall do that. I shall follow up with that. I shall you know." And so it's definitely helped me in my own life. And I think there's that the readiness to be open is part of that.
It is.
Setting that intention, perhaps saying a prayer in advance, to be in the highest and best vibrational state of receptivity, but then also having it as a consistent practice, I think helps too.
Yeah,
Because when you get used to communicating, there's a friendliness and an understanding that yes, they will respond, and you start to build the rapport more and more, and it becomes almost like an automatic pilot thing at that point.
it does. And I think that many people misunderstand that because what you said, there are the times we have that intuitive flash. And it's like, oh my gosh, it didn't take more than a second, but it was higher guidance. It was there for us. And like you say, it's some of it, some of it we can get no matter what. But I know people ask me, well, how can I get in touch with my spirit guides? How can I get in touch with my higher guidance? How is that done? Well, it isn't done it isn't the instant. It's a practice. And that's why it's so important for us to have a spiritual practice. Many people have an hour of prayer. Many people have a few minutes of prayer when they go to bed at night and when they wake up or during the midday. Gosh, some religions have it built in. How, you know, 5 times a day. I think in the Islam religion faith, people pray 5 times a day. Other religions have a built-in meditation time. And I know that through my family used to pray at dinner, and so just having that little bit of grace, we call it grace, that little bit of time to pray and to be grateful and just have that again a little practice in tuning into the divine. As a child, I was appreciative of that sort of practice that we had, and kind of aware that I could do that was possible. So
Practice and ritual do have a place in our life,
absolutely,
and it's a reminder of the sacred connection when we do that.
and that's
So
exactly what we're talking about. The
even
sacred
those even
connection.
those moments where we maybe don't feel so sacred, then
Yes,
we still can reach out and get that understanding of sacred awareness in our conscious space again.
and it's interesting you say that the sacred connection. The sacred connection doesn't always have to be solemn and silent. The sacred connection can be through comedy and
Yes.
laughter and playfulness. I mean, what a sacred connection. We were watching a movie the other night, and there were dogs. It was Amadeus, the old
Oh,
movie Amadeus, and they have the dogs playing. And one of the scenes, the guy who has all the dogs, and the dogs they had probably about maybe 3 minutes of the dogs running around and the dogs playing with themselves. And I thought to myself, I really, when I think back at that movie, I was telling Don yesterday that I just get a wonderful feeling when I think about those dogs playing. And when Boanne at night, she likes to play at night with her stuffed toys and her ball. And what a sacred moment that is, what a connection of joy. And when we sort of playfully talk to each other and tease each other, my brothers and I do that even still. And watching children play, going up to the playground in Lilydale and watching children play is a sacred connection. It's a divine connection. We see the divine in all of us, in nature. And again, Willa does like I do. We walk around Lilydale taking pictures of the things we want to share with others. Oh, this is a divine image. I want to capture it and I want to share it. So
right.
it's those little everyday things that can be a sacred connection. And we don't, it doesn't have to be solemn and silent. It can be even rambunctious, dancing and singing together, and or even alone, singing in the car, singing in the shower is a
Right.
divine connection with joy. And
Joy, 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 deep in my heart.
that's right.
Day.
It is in our
Yes.
heart. And it
That's
is,
one of Patricia's favorite songs.
it is. People and everybody knows it. So,
Yes.
good. Yeah, I like that you said those instantaneous times when we are connected with the divine,
Yeah.
with that highest guidance with us. And again, we don't have to be monks or nuns to do that.
No, we don't.
We can do
Well,
ordinary times.
Patricia, you've done such a great job of explaining about using the higher guidance and the distinctions between those. Any last thoughts that you wanted to share about those things before we close for today?
Well, I think that um, the last thoughts that I can sort of emphasize is that all of us are capable of connecting, and we are all connected at all times. So it's just the awareness, the mindfulness of tuning in. And again, it's our choice. It's definitely a choice to use the highest guidance in our lives, and it's readily available. So use it and increase the quality of your life and the lives around you. And that's all I can share to emphasize. And it's just been such a pleasure, Willa, always a pleasure to be with you. And you know how much I love you and your work. So again, many, many
Me
thanks
too.
to you, to your listeners. Many blessings, and I leave you with a sense of peace and love and all blessings.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. What a special final words. I really appreciate you coming on the show today, Patricia. It's always a beautiful time to connect with you and your light and the way it beams and radiates out to everyone. I think that today's message has been especially joyful and uplifting, and I really hope people take that to heart, some of those things that Patricia highlighted today. You can take them and use them and apply them in your life, in the here and in the now. I want to encourage you to take a look at patriciaprice.com, which is Patricia's website. She does offer classes, and I studied with her, and she is just phenomenal. I couldn't say more. Just the phenomenal as a teacher and as a medium. So I'm so glad that you can reach out to her and learn from her directly, like the way I did. And you can also check out things on my website, willawhite.com. I do have online classes that I do, and I encourage you, if that's something that is of interest to you, to take a look at that. So I'll leave you with the last words of: know that your inner guidance comes from the divine, that you are a spark of the divine, and as such, you have unlimited potential for love and peace and joy. Go in peace, everyone, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.